Hello everyone, my name is MansaMusa and welcome to my channel. My idea for this channel is to provide commentary on some of my favorite strategy games of all time, break down why I think they are great, and provide my strategy for how I win, and oftentimes lose most of my games. Today I'm starting a series of videos I plan to make on the game Advance Wars. I am playing Advance Wars through the website Advance Wars by Web. It's a wonderful site that allows fans of the series to compete against various players from across the world. If you want to join this great community, just Google Advance Wars by Web and it should be the first link there. From there, you just have to make an account and you can start playing. I will link a great video by Humita. He's a content creator in the space that shows this process in detail of how you make an account and get started playing. In addition, I will link the channel of Deejus. He's another creator in the space who has great videos on how to reach higher elos through some basic but very helpful tips. I went from not playing Advance Wars since I think 5th grade or something, to where I am today in just a few months by watching some Deejus videos, so I can say firsthand how useful they are and that his tips are great. With all that out of the way, let's get into this replay. MansaMusa versus Hudge on the map Lunatic. I am MansaMusa, my opponent is Hudge. Before we get into this fan favorite of a map, let's first discuss the CO matchup. This was a tier 1 matchup, which means you have the classic rock, paper, scissors choice of COs between Sasha, Von Bolt, and Hawke. The reason why there is this rock, paper, scissors dynamic is because Sasha's powers can effectively shut down Hawke, Von Bolt's day-to-day can outshine Sasha's powers, and Hawke's super CO power, aka his SCOP, can absolutely devastate Von Bolt, which, spoiler alert, we will see in this game. In Advance Wars by Web, you can't see who your opponent picks until the game starts, so you have to make this choice blind, hoping you get the matchup you want, and hopefully win this rock, paper, scissors dynamic. In order to do this, I generally do two things to give myself the biggest advantage. One, I look at the win rate of different COs on the map to see if one of the three of them is particularly good or bad at the map. So as we see, if we go to, this is Lunatic, the CO breakdown on Lunatic, Von Bolt has a 57% win rate, Hawke has a 52% win rate, and Sasha has a 51% win rate. So they're all pretty even. None of them are particularly good or bad, so we don't really have any ideas of who to pick from there. The next thing I do is I look at my opponent. So this is Hudge's profile, and I see, is he playing one CO more than the other, right? Like, if he doesn't play Hawke at all, then I will pick Von Bolt, right? Because Hawke is the counter to Von Bolt, and that would allow me to win the rock, paper, scissors matchup and have the biggest advantage going into the game. But as you can see, he plays all three of Hawke, Von Bolt, and Sasha pretty evenly, so there's no real indication there either of who I should pick. So with no real direction of where I should go, I just picked my favorite CO on this map, which is Von Bolt, and unfortunately Hudge did in fact choose Hawke. So I've already kind of lost the rock, paper, scissors battle. I'm going to be at a disadvantage going into this game, but I'm still going to try my best to win it. Speaking of my opponent, I'm facing a top-tier player in Hudge. At the time of this game, Hudge was around a 1400 rated player. Now he's down to 1380, but still super high level, still a killer. And while he's definitely known as being more of a fog player, his standard rank is still like 100 points higher than mine. So I have my work cut out for me, both in terms of who I'm facing and in this CO matchup. Lastly, let's talk about the map. This game was played on the map Lunatic, which, as I alluded to earlier, is a fan favorite. Fan favorite map to shit on, relentlessly. People hate this map. Personally, I'm fine with it. I think it has good strong side, weak side dynamics, comm towers here in the middle that can be flipped in the mid to late game. And the game can go really one of two ways, right? It can go into an HQ rush on each opponent's respective strong side, or it can be more of a center fight towards these three properties in the center here based on your orientation and which side you're attacking. So there's multiple ways this map can go, and I really don't feel like it deserves the hate that it gets. I think this is a fine map for the standard pool. I get that people like kind of mixed-based maps more, but I don't know. I think this map is fine, and it doesn't deserve the hate that it gets. Enough of the exposition, though. Let's bring in the music. Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, sit back in your favorite chair or lie on your bed, and get ready for an absolutely insane game. We'll breeze through these first few turns. It's just building infantry for both players and starting our early caps. There are some ideas, I think, on this map to delay the base to get early income, but neither me or Hudge goes for this. The first deviation that we're actually going to see is on turn 4 for Hudge, so I'll just speed ahead till then. And we can see a very interesting choice that Hudge makes. So I'm just getting my early properties. And now on this turn, right? So on this turn, I thought Hudge would bring this infantry up, start the cap, and move this infantry here. And we can see he does something different. He moves this infantry that I was talking about away from the city, doesn't cap it, and moves it here. and build an artillery. And the idea here is very clever and something I'm actually going to copy on my turn as well. Hudge is going to try to deny this city, right? He's going to move this artillery up, have this infantry ready to interrupt, and then bring his own infantry to get this city. And what that's going to allow him to do is he's going to get the center property, which is a contested one, and he's going to deny me mine. So he's going to have an income advantage coming into this game. And also the city can be very helpful later on in the game as a kind of a healing space for some of your units fighting in the middle if the game goes that way. So I recognize that this is a good play from Hudge, and I try to copy it, build my own artillery here, bring my infantry here either to get the city if he moves his artillery elsewhere, or start my comm tower cap if it gets denied, which, spoiler alert, it will. Moving to Hudge's turn, as we can see, he's going to bring his artillery up, start the cap on this city, and deny me my own, executing this plan. He's going to have an income lead over me. It's a good opener for him. I'm definitely down at this point. As we go on for the next few turns here, not much is going to happen. We're still just getting the infantry. I ignore the city, start my comm tower cap instead, and just try to get some advantage on my strong side by setting my infantry down. He's going to do the same thing, and we're going to get into the classic strong side, weak side dynamic here. So again, not much is going to happen here for a few more turns. We're just going to try to centralize our troops. This is an important concept here, right? Both Hudge and I are getting our tanks and artillery towards the center. One, so we can open up attacks on these black boats, which is going to create attacking lanes later on in this game, not only through this lane, but also by killing this black boat through this lane. But also just setting up our troops here in the center to both defend my artillery in this case, but also defend attacks up here, and also ultimately go down to the strong side. That's going to be the goal of this tank. So an important concept here as well. Even though Hudge has the city and I don't, and he's effectively got an advantage in the opening, I do have compensation, right? I've already gotten my comm tower capped, and I'm injuring this infantry, which means that he's not going to be able to get an easy cap on his comm tower. So although he does have an income lead, I'm not completely dead yet, and I still have hopes in this opening. So as we move along, just building some more tanks, getting ready for this fight in the middle. Again, more positioning towards the strong and weak side. And move ahead. So an interesting thing to note here, I'm always keeping this infantry within one move of the city, right, to paralyze this artillery. I don't want this artillery coming in and threatening my attacks towards my strong side. I want to keep it locked, so I'm always keeping this one infantry ready to attack the city in case he ever moves this artillery. I also build an anti-air this turn, and I hear most of you thinking at this point, that seems kind of a strange move. Why are you building an anti-air when there's not even a battlecopter out? And for my fog players out there, you're thinking, oh, this is a perfectly standard move. Building a day 8, day 9, day 10 anti-air, that's what you should be doing. But this is standard, right? I can see he doesn't have a battlecopter. Why am I building it? And the answer to that question is pretty simple, right? This tank is within one turn range of a battlecopter, and it can even be trapped if he moves his infantry here, brings in his tank, other infantry. He can surround this tank. And sure, I can shoot down this black boat and free it, but it's still great to have this anti-air because I know battlecopters are coming. He needs to defend his weak side, and they often do that through tanks from this base and battlecopters. So getting the initial anti-air, even though there isn't a battlecopter yet, is still a great play. Moving to Hudge's turn, he starts his caps down south, moves up north as well. He's going to move this 5 HP infantry down to maybe help with these caps, and move a fresh infantry to start the comm tower cap to hopefully get that. And again, this artillery is staying here to prevent this city. Not much happens on this turn for me. I finish off his black boat, and I attack this infantry on the weak side, which in retrospect, I don't think is a good move. Yes, I'm denying income on his weak side, which is something that you want to try to do. It's better for you if your strong side, if your opponent can't get caps on his weak side, and you're going to have the infantry on your strong side to kind of make those calls and throw away those infantry at times. But I think this is a bit of a Mang's infantry, if you're familiar with that term. It's going to be a very easy kill because this anti-air is not going to be able to cover it, right? This anti-air is not in range yet, so this battlecopter is going to come in, get a free kill. And while I am denying the property, costing 1,000 gold, so this infantry is earning itself in, I still don't think this is the best play. I'm setting up my troops up north to start attacking these cities by a tank. I'm going to move this tank there to protect as well. Keep this infantry here to potentially attack this city if he moves his troops up north. And I end my turn. Now, Hudge does something very interesting on this turn, if I remember correctly. Starts his scouts down south, combines, nothing really interesting there. Yes, so Hudge moves his artillery here, and the reason why he's doing this is he's defending this city, and you'll notice I moved my infantry up to start these caps up north and build a defensive wall against his infantry, and in that process, I moved my infantry away from the city, right? So this infantry can no longer attack the city and start the capture, so Hudge is free to move his artillery here to protect this city. And I think the reason why he's doing this, one, is just good coverage on the city, but there's also real threats of me capturing the city. So I'll go to the move planner to kind of show this just in brief detail, right? Like I can come in here, sorry, this tank will be down here, like this, get an attack, and suddenly this is very scary for Hudge, right? He's not going to have a very easy way to interrupt this. He would actually have to be here. He's not going to have a very easy way to interrupt this. And I can bring in some real pressure if his artillery stays back here, right? But now he can bring his artillery in, get the free attack on the interrupt, and punish with his troops like this. So this artillery being here allows for a counterattack to be very powerful if I were to go for this type of attack, whereas it was previously here. So I think that's why he moves it forward. Also important to note is that this battlecopter and tank on that attack would be out of range if I did go for that attack. This is the city I would be attacking here. But overall, good positioning from a Hudge. I do 2 infantry walls here on my turn. One in the south, one in the north. One of these I think is great. The other I think is really bad. And I'll just explain now which one is which. So the one in the south I think is really good, right? So I got the cap on this city, I'm starting a cap down here, and I'm preventing a 2-hit KO, right? Because the infantry is here, he can't bring in an infantry and a tank and completely interrupt the cap. So this is a very strong positioning down south. Up north, I don't like my infantry positioning. One, for 2 reasons, really. I'm allowing a bunch of trades from his infantry to mine on the weak side, which you don't want, right? Because you need to save your weak side infantry, and all of these are going to get super damaged. And even with this tank here to punish if his infantry do come in, this tank is only going to be able to kill 1 infantry unit, right? So him flooding in and getting a bunch of trades here and also starting this cap is definitely going to be viable for him, and it's just too aggressive for me. I should have backed up a bit more up here on my weak side. I need to preserve those infantry. Move my artillery to the middle to start to threaten this. Not going to be a huge threat, he's just going to move his tank down. But generally good middle positioning for me there. So on this turn, Hudge interrupts this cap with a battlecopter, which is really the only 2-hit KO he had. And this is actually a huge, huge blunder from Hudge. And I'll explain in a little bit why, but on my turn, I'll show why that was such a bad move. Up north, he does get the trades that he wants, gets the interrupts there, down to 1 HP on my capping infantry. Brings in his anti-air. Again, I'm going to be building a battlecopter here eventually, so this is a good anti-air. And repositions tanks down to defend and tanks up to attack. Classic strong side, weak side dynamics again. So as we get to my turn, I want to see if you guys can find the devilish tactic that I found to punish the 2-hit KO down here by the battlecopter and the tank. So pause the video right now, see if you can find it, and I will continue with the explanation when you come back. Okay, here's the idea. First, move the infantry up towards that cap, but we're going for a complete trap and surround of both the tank and the battlecopter. We'll see that my anti-air and my tank are completely surrounded, so they're not going to get any hits, and that these 2 units are now completely in jail, right? I'm going to bring my tank in as well. This tank is now guaranteed to get a 2-hit KO from these 2 tanks. It's covered completely. And this battlecopter, its only safe space is this corner in jail on the very corner of the map, right? And Hudge had like a very commanding beginning, right? He won the income battle there. He's gotten some good infantry trade up north. This is just the blunder that's going to get me back in the game, getting this tank and battlecopter for essentially free. As we move on, I get the tank hit. I interrupt the cap that he went for there up north. This is again a bit of a Mang's infantry. On my weak side, again, I'm throwing away an infantry to stop a cap. A bit more viable as this is a very contested city, and I was also feeling confident after this trap play. But again, I'm not sure if I should do this type of infantry throwing away to interrupt these caps. I'm not sure if it's the best move. I bring my artillery in because I think this is going to devolve into an HQ rush type game, so I need to bring in the artillery to put pressure on his black boat. So as we take inventory on his day 11 rolls around for Hudge, he does have the income advantage. Unit count and unit value is pretty similar. He's going to be building units on his turn, so there's not much there. But I have trapped these units down south. So I would say I have the advantage coming into this turn. Let's see how Hudge defends though and gets out of it. So he gets a tank and infantry attack there, brings in another tank to attack my infantry, and then finds a space for his battlecopter, right? So this is really good defense by Hudge. I thought I had these units trapped, but now really the only attack I have is this tank going on this city to attack this tank. The battlecopter is going to be completely safe, and he's going to route it out the next turn. So really good defense from Hudge there. The trap is not as good as I thought it was initially. Artillery attacks the black boat. Like I said at the beginning of the match, he wants to open up this lane like I have to attack on the HQ eventually. More punishing of my interrupt here up north. He brings in his tank and his anti-air, puts him in good position. I can't attack this anti-air yet. And we continue on. Notice here he builds 3 tanks. This is just flexing the income advantage, guys, right? He had the 21k. I'm not going to have... Well, I am going to have it on this turn, but most turns I'm not going to have it. And he's just getting a huge tank lead on me. 8 tanks to 6, right? So, good move by Hudge as well. He's going to send 2 up here, 2 up north, 1 south. As day 12 rolls around for me, it's not looking the best. I'm losing on income, unit value, and unit count at the start of my turn. The north looks good for Hudge in terms of long-term play, and my trap in the south looks like it has been nullified with only 1 tank shot open for me on the city. There is a winning move here though, and I will pause the video for a few seconds if you want to try to find it. Pat yourself on the back if you found it. It's the 3 HP infantry sacrifice. This is a very common tactic for my high level players. I'm sure they saw this right away, but if you're more a lower level player, you may not have seen this before. You can sacrifice an infantry like this, making sure it gets killed to open up a lane for the tank to come in and get a 2-hit KO on this infantry. This opens up the entire position, right? The infantry are going to come in, get a 2-hit KO there, get an attack on the tank from the city, plopping my anti-air down so it has good defense and it's not going to be attacked by this tank for much damage. Kill off the 3 HP tank, and now again the battlecopter and tank are in jail with nowhere to go out, and now for real they are trapped because there's no way that Hudge can free these units. He just has 2 infantry here. These units are going to die now. I start my cap down south as well, back up in the north, feeling good now that my trap has finally been realized, and build another battlecopter and tank to defend up north. Just trying to hold on here, get my artillery into good position, attack the HQ, and win the game. Hudge has a good response on his turn. He starts his cap up north here with this infantry, gets a few interrupts on this city as well. Getting a tank hit down south, and he also takes advantage, there's the tank hit, and he takes advantage of my passivity to start this cap here. I really have nothing that can interrupt without getting into real trouble with his artillery, tank, and anti-air. So this is a good move as well. He's going to get the city. Also knowing this battlecopter is doomed, he interrupts this cap here, which is a really great move because it interrupts it for multiple turns, right? Because I'm going to have to move this infantry off, bring the anti-air back to kill the battlecopter, and then bring the anti-air back off the city. That way I can have another infantry actually start and finish this cap. So good move by Hudge. He knows the battlecopter is dead, but he delays the city for about 3 turns with this attack. He moves his other units up north to continue his attack on my HQ, and we roll into my turn. I get a hit up north on this infantry, and then I commit a huge blunder on my turn. Talking about what happened here, I was in the move planner on this turn for multiple days before I actually made this move, and when I was actually making the move, it was a few days later, and I forgot what I was actually supposed to do. I forgot the whole plan I made in move planner. What I was supposed to do, and I'll pull up the damage calculator to show this, I was supposed to sacrifice this 1 HP infantry on the 3 HP infantry, like we talked about earlier, another unit sacrifice. That would deal 6% damage. Then this 4 HP infantry can come in, deal 24 damage. It's a guaranteed kill on the infantry. Then I bring my battlecopter in and interrupt this cap. I completely forget this idea. I just bring in the 4 HP infantry, and it lives on 1 HP. He's going to get this cap now. So really bad blunder by me, brutal move. Gonna get the city now. The battlecopter comes in, gets an attack, but again, there's nothing to come in and interrupt, so it doesn't matter. This is gonna be a victory for Hudge up north. I move some units, again, just trying to defend this area. I kill the battlecopter down south, like we talked about, get a hit on the tank. I'm actually not gonna kill the tank because it really can't do much. Get my artillery in range of the HQ and also defending this city if I'm gonna bring some infantry up to cap. Put the tank in jail again. Again, it's not going to go anywhere. It'll die eventually. and build more tanks, right? At this point, I've had 7 and he had 8. I needed more tanks both up north and south to contend, so I go for the 3 tank build and end my turn. Day 13 for Hudge. He gets both cities, here and here, and then he goes for a black wave, which is a very interesting choice for me, right? I guess the idea of it was to interrupt this cap without having to fight through this tank, which is a good idea, but I didn't really see much behind this attack until I went back into Move Planner and see what he was able to do, and it's actually very successful, right? So he's able to get the 1-hit KO on my infantry there, and then he's going to start wreaking havoc on my tank and artillery down. Gets the 2-hit KO, Battlecopter comes in, and he gets the attack on the artillery. He's able to kill it, and it's actually a very good move. Gets the interrupt on the city as well, even more. Gonna probably prevent this cap. So actually a really good black wave from Hudge. When I saw it initially, I was like, why didn't you just stave up for the Black Storm? But this was a good move on his part, completely wrecking my attack in the south. Gains the take hit up north as well. And now he's going to trap my Battlecopter, right? So again, this is compounding on the blunder. If the Battlecopter was up here to get the interrupt, I could probably free it a bit easier. The trap honestly still probably would have been pretty good, but now this Battlecopter is really screwed. Hudge is actually going to make a mistake here, though, if I remember correctly. Let's see where yeah, okay, so Hudge brings his tank in to fully surround my Battlecopter. I really disagree with this. I don't think there was any need for this. If we go back a move, the Battlecopter is completely trapped, right? It really has no squares. So I think what he should have done, instead of moving this tank here, I would have moved the tank maybe here on the city and bring this anti-air instead of here towards this tile here to get an attack on the left and right, trapping in my Battlecopter no matter where it goes. By putting his tank here, he's allowing the Battlecopter to go out with one last kill, right? I'm going to get an attack 9 HP Battlecopter against tank on road when this Battlecopter is dead anyway, right? So it's going out with a last hurrah, one last bang, getting value with the Battlecopter on the tank. I don't think this was necessary. I think he could have preserved the health of this tank, and this Battlecopter, I don't think there was any way he could have freed it. So, kind of a blunder there by Hudge. Not a huge deal, but definitely would not have done that if I was on his side. I just would have let the Battlecopter have an escape route because it wasn't really an escape route with this anti-air here. As we come into my turn, I'm going to clear out this infantry down south, bring in my bring in my anti-air to destroy his Battlecopter, get the Battlecopter hit like I was talking about on his tank, get another Battlecopter hit on this tank, and then this is an important decision I make, right? Let's back up. So I move this tank in here to destroy this tank of his, the 5 HP tank on the plains, but I can hear some of you saying, why not attack just the anti-air, right? He only has one anti-air in the area. If you're able to kill it, these Battlecopters are going to be off scot-free to deal damage to his tanks. And while yes, that's true generally, because he has power and because the anti-air is on the city, it's not really going to do anything. So I'll pull up the calcs to show this. Tank against Hawke-powered anti-air on a city is only going to do, best case scenario, 4 5 HP of damage, which is going to be healed up to 7 or 8. So even if I get the best case scenario, right, and does 5 HP of damage, that would be 7 after the heal. Turn away the power. And that means he's going to get a 1-hit KO on my Battlecopter no matter what, right? So getting the hit on the anti-air really isn't going to do much. He's still going to get a 1-hit KO either way. And if I don't kill this tank, then he's actually going to deal havoc with it, destroying more of my infantry. So it is actually the better play here to just let the anti-air sit there for one more turn, bring in more tanks to actually threaten it, and fight off his own tanks in the area rather than going for an attack that isn't going to do anything on the anti-air. As we keep on going, again, I'm just going to try to play more defense up north, just try to hold on for as long as I can, because I need to build another artillery to actually attack his HQ after his good black wave got mine. Start the cap down south. Get a few attacks on his tanks here. Looking back on these, I don't think these are the best attacks. Kind of overextended. I don't really have troops to back up yet. These tanks are still exposed, so is the anti-air, but live and learn there. Again, try to defend up north. Bring in another anti-air down. This anti-air is going to die. Like I said, it doesn't really have coverage, so he's going to bring in his tanks in here almost assuredly and deal a lot of damage, if not kill this anti-air, so I need another one. And I need the arty to actually attack the HQ. Hudge's turn now, and like I was talking about, he clears the way for his tank, gets a big hit on my anti-air, gets a hit there on my tank now that the anti-air is out of service, and brings my anti-air down to 1 HP. So this anti-air is basically dead, so I needed the other one to come in. I do have my scop now, so that's going to be an advantage for me coming up, but very good move. My attack, again, is very crippled down south, and his attack is only growing stronger in the north. We have another semi-trap here, my battlecopter up north, but I should be able to get out of this pretty easily. The infantry aren't going to hold. He's bringing his artillery up here as well. I think we both realize at this point it's going to be an HQ rush. We're just trying to hold up down south and attack up north for Hudge, and then attack down south and hold up north for me. Build another battlecopter. Again, I don't have my anti-air ready yet, so good move. And we go to my turn. So my turn rolls around here on turn 15, and I have my Super CO power ready, and I need to go crazy if I really want any hope of continuing on in this game. So here's where Move Planner can come in clutch, and why you shouldn't mindlessly just press the button on your Von Bolt Scop as if you were playing, like, I don't know, like Drake or Olaf, where you can just press the button and have it work, right? So let me pull up the Move Planner to show what I'm talking about. So if we look at the Von Bolt Super CO power and the missile that's going to create here, would be a good attack. It's going to hit 4 tanks, a few infantry, immobilize all of them, and I can come in and clean up. But I really want to interrupt this battlecopter. This battlecopter is going to be a huge nuisance for me. So if I look at what I want to have happen and what is going to happen, I just need to move this red cross up 1 tile. Well, how do I do that? The answer is this tank, right? So if I just plan this out where I come in, deal damage to this tank, you can see that the cross and moves up. The move planner shows you this, and it's going to hit the battlecopter I want. So that's a good reason why you should always, if you're playing Rachel or Von Bolt, go into the move planner on your Super CO power, try to kill some units, move the cross around. Sometimes you can move to the other side of the map if you get some kills, and you can go a tactic that you didn't even think about before going into this turn. So very helpful, always something to look at if you're playing either of those COs. So I execute that plan, I attack the tank, pop my Super CO power, and immobilize that battlecopter. Now this anti-air is going to come in, he can't do anything, it's auto-weighted, and that anti-air is going to fall. Kill the tank, clear the way, and then this is an important concept here. With my 1 HP anti-air, I could just attack this 7 HP battlecopter, do 1-2 HP of damage from it, really throw it away because it's probably going to die anyway, and end my turn and be happy. I don't do this though. Why do I not do it? Well, number 1, nothing can attack this anti-air, right? So it's going to survive, it's going to get to 3 HP. Sure, this battlecopter can come in, but if it does that, it's going to get hit by my other anti-air coming in. It's not worth it to trade full HP for a 7, right? So he's not going to do that. But the idea of saving the anti-air and not just throwing it away is that low HP anti-air are some of the best, most useful troops in the entire game. And I'll show you what I'm talking about, right? So if I just attack here, like I was talking about, I do 15-16% damage. But if I go to 3 HP, not even on a superpower, now it deals 4, almost 5 HP of damage, right? So this battlecopter is going to come in to take out the 7 HP copter, and the one I'm saving will deal with any aggression that his only unit, right, the battlecopter in area can do by dealing 4 HP. So it's very important to save your low HP anti-air. Don't underestimate him. Don't just throw him away. Moving on to a few more things on this turn. I start my attacks up north, clear the way for my battlecopter, and I'm going to attack this anti-air now because, again, now it makes sense to attack the anti-air. It's no longer on the city. If I can do real damage to it, I can shut down his whole attack and just start piling up the copters. So I go in for the attack, and here I get a very annoying low roll, an 8-4 trade. Let's pull up the calcs here to show how unlucky this was. 9 HP tank on Super CO power against the Hawke anti-air, and you can see the vast majority of the time it should have been brought down to 3 HP. And not only that, I also get a chip damage. It high rolls on the return fire back. I'm not sure if this tank had previous chip damage. I don't think it did. I think it just got hit by the black wave. This was actually a very unlucky roll for me. And it's really going to matter because, like I talked about earlier, anti-air, no matter the HP, can be very effective, right? So on this return fire, if it was 3 HP, it would have only done 3.5 damage. But since it's 4 HP, it's now going to do almost 5 damage, right? So that's a 900, 1800 gold swing there just by getting the super low roll on the tank hit. Very annoying, but not much that you can do there. I get a few more infantry hits up off north, clear the way for my battlecopter to come out eventually, and I end my turn. Again, build another battlecopter now that this anti-air is down, build a tank to defend, and we're still keeping the same basic ideas of trying to hold on up north and attack down south. Day 15 for Hudge, and he clears the way for his anti-air. He attacks, and it does 5 damage, which is brutal. I mean, very low roll, nothing you can do about it, but always hate to see the full force of the attack there on the battlecopter. He clears the way for his battlecopter to attack my city, hopefully interrupt. I think this is a roll as well. Let's see. Battlecopter against there. No, this was always going to do 4 HP, so he was never going to uninterrupt this. It does stay on 6 HP, it's going to get the cap, so I'm not sure if he saw that or not, but I am going to get that city down south. Good move by Hudge here, retreating a bit. He realizes he doesn't have the forces yet to finish off this attack. He's going to try to build up, save his artillery, save his tanks, play a bit more passively because he knows he's going to get his power before I get mine again. So he has the time to retreat. Sets up more positioning, and he ends his turn. Day 16 for me now, and it has just been a brawl. We are both pushing and providing resistance on both sides, both of our weak sides, and neither HQ has really been threatened, and unit stats are still pretty even, right? It's pretty similar unit count, unit value, and income. He does have a slight advantage over me. Now that I get these 2 cities, it's a bit more even than it was, but still pretty even, no clear winner yet. I clear the way for my 3 HP anti-air to get this attack, and boom, 5 HP of damage on the battlecopter that came in. This is what I was talking about earlier. By saving that anti-air, I get the full force of it attacking this full HP battlecopter, reducing it to 5 HP and effectively crippling it. Bring in my other anti-air to get a kill there, and start bringing my artillery down as well. I'm also going to take advantage of good terrain movement here. By blocking off this pathway, these tanks have no way to get to the artillery and the anti-air because I'm blocking off this choke point. Hudge has been doing the same thing throughout this game as well, but it's very important to look at the terrain of the map and see where you can find these kind of choke holes to put in your units to stop any attack by your opponent. As we continue on up north, I clear out his anti-air, giving this battlecopter free reign. It's going to attack this infantry. And then I set up a kind of a fake threat, kind of a real threat, where I'm going to bring in these 2 infantry. And the threat is I can move this infantry to capture this city, his city, and then bring in this infantry to take its place and really win the income advantage if I can pull that off. The reason why I think this is a fake threat as opposed to a real idea I'm going for is because he has too many infantry here that can interrupt and really attack this. But it's still worth going for as a threat, because if he brings his artillery down to defend, that is huge for me. This artillery needs to go forward towards the HQ to really threaten and pressure the end of the game. But if I can make it lose a few tempos, wasting time to try to defend this city needlessly, that's a huge win for me. So I go for this threat. There's really no risk. It's all upside if he does defend it with the artillery, but Hudge is going to be smart enough that he knows that I'm not going to actually go for this. Get some heals with my black boat, and then I move my I move my battlecopter on top of this comm tower. Why do I do this? Well, there's actually a few reasons. One, while one of his tanks can get behind me, I believe this tank, none of his other units can, which means that this battlecopter is never going to get surrounded. It's safe, it's always going to have an exit route. Number 2, I'm denying the good terrain of the comm tower, right? It's a 3-star defense terrain, and he can put this tank on it if I wasn't blocking it, which is really going to impede my progress to destroy that tank and give him a huge attacking advantage if he's able to get on top of the comm tower. And the third and very kind of down the road reason why I'm putting my battlecopter here is it can potentially go south and threaten an airport lock along with this anti-air, right? So ultimate flexibility here, it can go in to attack to the right, it can retreat up top, or it can go down south and help with an airport lock down south with the anti-air. So good positioning there, that's why I'm moving on top of the comm tower. Day 16 for Hudge, and on this turn he really has a great positioning turn. So he's going to get some attacks down south, try to break through a little bit. Again, just kind of holding on. And now he's going to position his units very well, again taking advantage of the terrain. This artillery cannot be attacked, this anti-air cannot be attacked, and if I attack any of his tanks or infantry trying to get through, I'm going to be punished by these units in the back, the tank, the artillery, and the anti-air. So really good positioning by Hudge here, setting up a devastating attack and making sure that I can't come in and try to chip away at it. Day 17 rolls in for me, and I am on the clock. His upcoming Black Storm is going to be devastating, and I need to try to win the next turn or two to avoid all its wrath. To help do this, I kill the copter, kill the tank, bring in my artillery to help threaten the HQ, start the cap, again take advantage of choking off this mountain pass, and just try to hold on up north. Get really defensive, go box formation, have 3 copters now. The reason why I'm doing this, again, only one anti-air. This anti-air can only shoot down 1 copter at a time, right? So I'm just gonna spam out anti-airs. Sorry, I'm just gonna spam out copters until he builds enough anti-airs to defend, because this anti-air can only attack 1 copter at a time. Defend there, start the cap up here, and I end my turn. Day 17 for Hudge. He interrupts the cap down south with this infantry here. Plays defensive, builds another battlecopter knowing that he can probably attack this anti-air. Starts the comm tower cap, which is going to be very hard to interrupt. And again, makes good positioning moves here. He has a great arty spot. There's really no way to attack it. It's defending the comm tower. It's defending the city. Or defending a tank from coming onto the city. And there's really no way through there for me. Day 18. Before I start this turn, I realize he's probably going to get his Black Storm. I try to calculate a few different ways to avoid this, either by attacking in really hard, so if he does get his Black Storm, he doesn't have units left to deal damage. Completely retreating so that his units don't have any follow-ups on the Black Storm, or attacking in just a few times to try to get him right close to the Black Storm, but not able to get it. That strategy is definitely the riskiest of all 3. But because I think I'm losing this position and I need to go all in, this is what I go for. So I get some attacks down south, try to make sure that I'm doing some damage, but I'm not completely allowing the Black Storm. And then I make another huge blunder on this turn, and it's this infantry move right here. When I brought this tank down, I thought I had this infantry to cover. I think in the move planner, this one wasn't weighted yet, so I thought I could move it down here. I can't. And now this battlecopter can come in and attack this tank, and that's actually really bad for me, because if he does get his Black Storm, these 3 tanks are gone, and I need a tank in here to help defend the artillery and the anti-air. So this tank needs to be defended, it can't get hit. But if I move this 9 HP infantry now to cover the space to defend the tank, now my anti-air and artillery are probably going to get hit, unless I get very, very lucky. But I have to go for this. Like I said, I'm all in, so I have to deal with this mistake. I defend the tank and just try to hold on. In the north, I interrupt the comm tower, play defensively, build the anti-air and the artillery in the south, and build a mech up north. I'm realizing at this point that I needed to go more all in down south. If you look at my builds on the previous turn, here it is, right? I only built 2 infantry here, and a tank and a battlecopter up north to help defend. This is another blunder. At this point, I need to just go all in down south and attack. I'm on the clock. Once he gets his Black Storm, it's over. He's going to win. So I don't have time to defend. These 2 units should have been attacking units, not infantry down here. But this is what we have to go on. So Hudge's turn rolls in. He gets a few attacks in. I have to hope he doesn't get his Black Storm, but he is. And now it's Judgment Day. All my units are going to die. Tank kill, infantry kill. Without this infantry here, the anti-air is going to go down, the artillery is going to go down, and this attack in the south is completely done with. Another thing to look at here, this mech build was actually a blunder. He could have moved this infantry here and capped the city, and I would have had to bring in one of my battlecopters to interrupt, which would have been very annoying. I actually probably would have just let him have it if he chose for that. He didn't go for this route, instead trying to attack further up north, start the artillery attack on the HQ. I think he actually should have gone for the city, but just another blunder by me there. Builds an anti-air, builds a battlecopter, but at this point the game's really over. You look at the unit value difference, and it's 50k. Income and unit count is still there, but my scop is just not nearly close enough for me to really come back at this point. His attack is looking way more promising than mine, and I think the game is over. I fight on for a few more turns, but at this point, like I said, my attack is destroyed. Just get a few attacks in here, interrupt, or leave the infantry on 1 HP on my comm tower. This was another low roll, and now he can bring his infantry in and finish it off, so that's another annoying thing. But like I said, the game is probably over at this point anyway, so it doesn't super matter. I think I fight on for one more turn here. He gets an interrupt on that city. I'm not going to get it. It brings his units in. takes out a battlecopter, and at this point the game's over. Unit count's now dead. He has a complete value lead. We go to my turn. I just take my troops off, build him missiles out of respect, and I resign the game. Can't say enough about the effort Hudge had in this game. He had a better opening, he made a big blunder losing 2 major units in the mid-game, and then came back and won the game in a convincing manner. That is what great players on this website will do to you though. They are never dead, and their strategy will eventually come back to get you. This game was definitely a tough loss for me, and I really thought I had winning chances throughout it, but I know I will learn a lot from it and hopefully win a few of these games in the future against some of the best players on Advanced Wars by Web. For now though, get in the comments guys and let me know what y'all think. Where did I go wrong? Do you think I can beat the top level competition on this website? Is Lunatic a shit map that no one should play? Yes for that last part. I'm interested in it all. Also, let me know what y'all want for the future of this channel. I have plans for more replays. I'm probably going to do a video on build order analysis and the importance of targeting units like targeting anti-airs when you can have complete battlecopter dominance, and air superiority at high-level standard play. Those are all video ideas I have, but I would love to hear some from you as well to see what y'all want. Final point, like I said at the beginning of the video, I love other strategy games as well, so let me know if you want to see a Catan replay or give me suggestions for other strategy games I should check out. Till next time, I am MansaMusa, thank you for watching the video, and remember, low HP anti-air are the most powerful units in the game. Bye guys.